Lizzie McGuire, you're worse than an outfit.
Wow.
Peter, you're an outfit rememberer. That's such a read.
You should have a Lizzie McGuire segment where you have like your own animated version. Like
I would want
pop
nothing
up.
more. I have a Lizzie McGuire sticker on my Kindle that says iced coffee and books. This is what dreams are made of. And it's the little animated Lizzie McGuire. I love Lizzie McGuire.
I
The
didn't
Lizzie
watch
McGuire
the show,
movie,
but I know enough of it.
so top tier.
Who plays Lizzie McGuire?
Hilary Duff.
Hilary Duff. So yesterday.
Duff's like one of the gals who made it out of there and didn't
Yeah,
end
she's
up.
pretty normal. It's funny because she went on a podcast with Josh Peck, and he was talking about child stars and how a lot of child stars end up dealing with substance abuse issues, and he was talking about something, and he was like asking her if she did something, and she was like, "No, Josh, no, I didn't." And he was like, "I think you and I were very different types of child stars." And she goes, "Yeah, I think we were," because she did stay pretty normal, and she's had a fairly successful career.
Yeah, she's doing stuff again. So
they did How I Met Your Father.
Yeah, that got canceled though.
That episode or just the show?
The show.
Good.
How I Met Your Father.
Oh, How I Met Your Father. No, I was thinking of the other one.
Yeah.
How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
Anyway,
did we miss anything?
Well, we should. I mean, I think if we're all honest, How I Met Your Mother should have been canceled a long time ago.
I know.
That show does not hold up.
It's awful.
It's horrible.
Also has a laugh track, and I just can't.
It does.
I can't.
There are a number of shows. Friends does not hold up. That is some cringe-worthy humor.
I know. And so a
like
lot of
Friends,
people.
For us back in the day, Friends was like destination watching. Like you'd get together with your friends to watch Friends.
Yeah.
And then ER because it was that Thursday night superpower show that NBC had. But yeah, it's not watchable.
Yeah, laugh tracks. I can't. Like when they did the Fuller House, they brought Fuller House back. I was like, I'll watch this, and then and as soon as I heard the laugh track, I was like, I can't. Sorry, I'm out.
Yeah, you know what's a great sitcom was Sanford and Son. I know I'm dating myself, but Sanford and Son.
That's
about the dad and his son who owned the junkyard.
Yeah.
With Red
There's
Fox.
There's like a song.
It's the greatest theme song in television
right.
history.
What's that? That's it. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I knew there was a good song.
It has this hard little harmonica. It's so good. So good. It's legitimately, it may be the best theme song in television history. It's up there.
Well,
do we have anything to talk about for the
well, I
topic?
actually was going to lob a question over there.
Oh,
of
yeah.
course, happy.
For the lady in the room.
Yeah.
Correct. And it's because she's a lady.
It is. It's
That's
the
what I was-
hers day is when we're recording this. The hers day. So here we go.
No,
a little something for the ladies, Miles.
Yeah.
Thanks for honoring them.
It's ladies' night. At the,
what a night. What a night.
No, you'd mentioned the fact that the purity culture conversation burdens ladies more so. Or
I feel like that's my observation.
as a man.
Oh boy. The only thing we're missing now
I wasn't asking you the question. I was going to ask.
We're missing him from this
That's
episode.
pretty great.
The face of diversity.
Okay. So Sophia, what did you find that was? How would you? I don't know how to really ask this question very well. But.
I would say I agree with that sentiment. I think the responsibility for purity generally tends to fall more on women. So in my growing up, my personal experience, I would say I didn't have to deal with as much of purity as necessarily as something that was really honed in on, but I had more comings across with modesty, especially at different times. So there were periods when I was a little kid that other moms would get upset with my mom about what she was letting me wear, such as skinny jeans or
and this is a
tough.
teenager. This is a teenager, by the way.
No, this is when I was like in
preteen.
elementary school, because early 2000s, so skinny jeans were just becoming a thing. I was super, I started dressing myself for school when I was in first grade. I was super into fashion, so I started wearing stuff more quicker than other kids did.
You were the it girl. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, I was used on a billboard for our
I know how much you guys love billboards with the Jenkins family.
I had this bright pink infinity scarf too. It was iconic. If you were
infinity scarves.
If you were in,
now I'm getting
if
really
you lived
black.
If you drove around on the South Hill of Puyallup, you may have seen me back in the day in the early 2000s.
Are you gonna pull it up?
But,
can you put it on that?
Hold on. I think I have it. You keep going.
Yeah. So that, like, I had moms pull, not like pants me pull my shorts down, but like my shorts were too short for them, so they would like try to pull down my shorts to make them longer.
Right.
Or my shirts, like actually like physically like do this to me. Other moms, because they were very mean to my mother. Like, she took a lot, and it was completely innocuous. Like, she wasn't letting me wear like really short shorts or anything, just normal, because you're a kid, you know. The one that comes up a ton still to this day is like swimsuits at summer camp. There's no good way to navigate that, which I do have some sympathy for. It's just, it has been really mishandled in some situations that I've been in. I've been in services where youth pastors have called girls' names based on what they wear from the stage. Female and male youth pastors doing that,
a hypothetical girl, or like an
like you girls out here dressing like, I'll use the word. Yeah. You girls out here dressing like sluts.
Yeah, on stage. So I have had a lot of. I was lucky that the youth groups, and now I have friends that grew up in different youth groups in different contexts, that purity was a much bigger thing than modesty. I just know, for me, modesty had been the one that I had a lot of running into issues with growing up as a girl. And it's tough for me now to let other people feel differently about that than me. So like, kind of, we've referenced this before, but there's a lot of like return to orthodoxy, Christian going on in Gen Z, trad wife, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And a lot of it too, there's a lot of Christian influencers that maybe aren't going that, like they're still evangelical or whatever label you want to put, like more typical Christian situation, for lack of a better term. But there's a lot of girls that are talking about modesty and dressing modestly, and it's tough for me to not be super negative about that, because to me it sounds arbitrary. It sounds like people are just coming up with things. It sounds like I could think of a million other things I would tell a girl to emphasize in their spiritual journey and their walk with God before I'd say, you know, don't wear a tank top, you know, or something like that. Well, so it's a tough one for me, because I also want to acknowledge that for some people that does feel like they bring them closer to God or in their spiritual journey, like that. So yeah, it's a tough one for me.
Well, that's a good question, because let me just what's it called when you overemphasize something? Hyperbole. So you know, at some point you probably have a standard of modesty as well, right? Like a girl couldn't just, you know, walk into a church with underwear on.
Yeah, right? No, I would not.
Like, so that's hyperbolic.
Yes,
right? So,
absurdity. Yeah.
So there is so I'm raising 3 girls.
Yeah.
And I'm having these kind of conversations with them. So, and actually my last, I was afraid to talk about modesty.
Yeah.
As a youth pastor, you know, for a couple of different reasons. I'm a guy, so there's like
part of it. There's a creepy factor.
There's a creep. Well, there's a creepy, and just like it's how much is appropriate and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's good that you know that there is that.
Because
so many male youth pastors don't realize.
Emotional IQ is really important when you're hiring youth pastors. Make sure they have emotional IQ. But actually, my last year, you know, I ended up transitioning to the campus pastor at our other campus. But that was going to be one of our big nights, was conversation on modesty, because, you know, barring the, you know, what you experienced with those, you know, henpecking, you know, other
really extreme versions of stuff like that.
So where is that middle ground? Where's the good, you know, between. Okay, so it is. I don't know if everyone else is aware, but like, it's bad out in public.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there are some women that feel comfortable, wearing shorts that you can actually see like the bottom of their butt, right?
Yeah.
Like going to the zoo. And maybe that doesn't like make you feel closer to God to wear longer shorts, but I mean, is there a place to say that, being respectful of others or that are other men that are around you? I'd make that case.
Yeah. I mean, I think but it's wrapped up in so much more than just like holiness or purity or modesty. It's wrapped up in social conventions, what a society deal. Because even modesty by definition is not like a biblical standard. It's a societal, it's a cultural standard, right? So like when we say that, what we mean is there is a general understanding of what is modest and immodest, okay?
Yeah.
And then how society then plays that out, there is a fluidity, there's a flexibility to that, because there are ways that what some cultures would say is immodest would be modest for another culture, or even in the Bible,
That's fair.
And we say things that are like, oh, well, they wouldn't have done that. But I mean, the Bible was a completely different concept and world. So they were talking more, but even the few verses that deal with modesty and how women appear, especially, even those are still based in don't draw attention to yourself,
right?
Draw attention to God, which is still the heart, if you will. There's a conceptual heart of holiness there. Right. So even as a man, if my appearance, like, you and I've talked about this, about like platform attire.
Right.
Yeah. Let's flip the coin completely. Let's not talk about a woman dressing what we would perceive as immodestly.
Actually,
there's platform attire that's completely immodest because all you can do is stare at what the guy is wearing. And you can't hear a word. I saw a guy online the other day, and it literally looked like just you're dressing this way so people will pay attention to what you are dressing. I'm not saying get up there and look like a slob, although he had crossed a fine line between, I don't know how he had managed to do both in one outfit. But good for him, man. Nailed it. Like whatever you're going for, you nailed it. But it's that sense of, and I hopefully the core, the seed of the formal podcast drew that out. Does this draw awe, gratitude, and love? Does this reflect awe, gratitude, and love? And it can be all the way down to your outfit in some ways. I think not everyone starts there. They may get there. Cultural standards, though, this sounds weird, but we kind of just have to deal with it. We are in a culture.
Oh, no, I don't. So let me parse that out. Because
I thought you were talking about like going through with like a scarlet letter and branding people.
Oh, yeah, that is what I meant. I meant you should yell shame in a public, shame and ring a bell and everything. No, I mean, maybe when I'm like 70 or 80 and I'm this old cantankerous. I could see myself
just
doing that.
Walk around with a bunch of modesty skirts and hand them off to girls at the mall.
They're purple, right, for the royalty.
Yeah, that's right.
So, so there is a gradient of responsibility, I feel, with like how close you are to someone versus a stranger to somebody very close to you. Like my daughter, I'm 100% having the conversation with my daughter about that. If it's these random women that know your mother and know you, and they're like kind of doing that. I think that is inappropriate. Yeah. And I don't obviously know what looked like all the other stuff, but so but then conversation becomes I was speaking from the context of being a pastor. Okay, so how does a youth pastor
pastor this?
How do we pastor this, right? How does the church go about presenting something that is we're not trying to hide behind like the Bible says, fingertip length. And I'm not saying that. Right. But at the same time, we do have standards, like our worship team, like they have standards. Like they can't be showing off midriff or things like that.
And we've talked to our male worship leaders about showing off their midriff, and we just can't.
Not because they were so attractive.
It's just unsightly.
It was just
come on, bro. That's not your look.
It was just a muffin top of
so anyway.
furry.
Yeah.
That's so disgusting. Yeah, I actually there is a real question there, Sophie.
Yeah.
Of if living holy and physical appearance is a part of holiness and physical modesty. I wouldn't say appearance, but bodily modesty is a part of holiness in the sense of decorum, restraint, respect. Is there a way, let's just really put it down in brass tacks. Is there a way for like a 22-year-old single male youth pastor to preach and have this conversation without traumatizing some poor 12-year-old girl?
I have a couple thoughts on this.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
I do. Because I think it's tough. It's tough. No, I don't think any youth pastor, regardless of gender, age, whatever, is ever going to get it 100% right. Because it's such a nuanced topic, and you're dealing with kids that are mostly thinking 100% emotionally when reacting to things and all that kind of stuff. So it's a tough one. I think the way you never call kids out from the platform. Never point kids out from the platform. Right. That is, I think just in general, I have a personal point that even if kids are goofing off on stage, that's a tough one for me. But certainly never for what they're doing, how they're acting, like what they're dressing like never do that. And that's a given, but apparently it's not a given in some situations.
Not a given if you have to still say it out loud.
And then I think when talking about it, it's tough because it's so different for case to case. So like for me, my parents, how I feel like my parents raised me, whether intentionally or not, is that they because they weren't like nitpicking everything I wear and like making it everything that I wear is either sexual or not sexual or what it has to do. I don't equate in my mind, if I wear this, it's going to make guys think this about me. So I don't dress that way to get that rise. I don't have that subconscious connection. And I think that really helped in a lot of ways, because then when I was a teenager and maybe I wanted to get attention from guys, which I wouldn't say that was either my struggle either, but I didn't be like, okay, so I'm going to go wear this now, because I just don't think of clothing that way. And I think that really helps to remove that thought that clothing has that power or whatever. So I think when you're dealing it with teenagers in youth group, I think if you see like a girl come in and she's wearing something that you probably wouldn't prefer that she wears at your youth group, I think getting to know her first and talking to her about it, like that thing that Pastor Troyes talks a lot about, the time where if he's dealing with attention with someone, he stops, tell me what's your story. I think that's a very practical thing for this situation too. So you can figure out, okay, is this girl dressing like this because this is the way that her family is always dressed around her, so she doesn't think it's a big deal? Is this because she is coming, there's a boy here that she wants to talk to? Is there figuring out what the reason why she's dressing like that? Because then I think that informs how you go. So if it's, she's dressing like this because there's a boy that hears that she's like, maybe you can navigate that one way. Or maybe your parents don't have the best the way that they talk to you about their boundaries and stuff. Maybe they're not, maybe it's a kid that grows up that has no boundary, kids that have no boundaries, their parents never say no to them.
Or maybe she has 1,000 boundaries and she changed before she got
exactly. So I think, to me, it's a very case by case.
Yeah, and let me
thing, it's tough. I don't have an answer necessarily of how you would teach it on stage, because the other thing that's so tough about modesty is you can't say your tank top strap needs to be this wide or your shorts need to be this long, because
it's so arbitrary.
Because one girl in one shirt is going to look completely different than another girl in a different shirt or a pair of shorts or a dress or a swimsuit. It is completely a 5-inch inseam is going to look it is so different. So you can't give those. So that's what makes it so tough. So and I have a complete empathy for how tough it is. And I get that. That's why.
To jump on what you're saying too, as a youth if you're in youth ministry, I'd strongly recommend to lead out of relationship, not lead out of this authority. I'm the pastor in the room, so therefore, I talked a little bit about how close you are gives you a little bit of more of ability and responsibility to speak. So a guest on a Wednesday night walking in versus someone who you've been discipling for years, you can have and also you don't need to have that conversation directly. Right? You can talk to a leader and you guys already have there's a standard, or there's or hey, what do you think about that? And actually that is kind of a little bit. And so having that person lead through the other ladies, or if you have a wife, or whatever. So I think that's part of it. But I like, that's kind of the enforcement, I guess, of it. But more so, like, we talked about how getting away from like the legalistic part of it,
the devotion side,
and more so, exactly. Like, what is the heart here? And I would like to hear more of that kind of conversation. The heart behind those kinds of things in the church setting, because I felt that I had done a little bit of a disservice by not talking about it the prior years that I had done that. And so I really had this passion to be like, not passion like I'm gonna eradicate the bad behavior or anything like that, but more so like, hey, this is and a little bit of instruction, like this is how guys are wired, this is how that kind of stuff. And then and doing it in a thoughtful and in a way that is presenting, I guess, like in a, I don't know, like something to aspire to do, versus like you must, or else you're a, to use that term before, a slut. Like that's crazy, that a youth pastor. So senior pastors probably don't hire a 22-year-old youth pastor and give them free reign to talk about whatever they want in this conversation. Do a lot of coaching and discipling, and maybe it's not something that they're ready to talk about until
and just not assume that it's something you are ready to talk about.
Right.
Maybe you have some credibility, your own life lessons to learn, or whatever, and that goes into obviously a number of issues around this. And so I think that's it. So
well, sorry I derailed the
no, that's
did
what
we
this no,
okay
that's
okay
what this segment's
that's
for.
good.
I
I
felt
was
like
thinking about that stuff while we were recording, and I just didn't know if we wanted to hear from little old me about that. But
little old you.
Little old me.
I haven't, but he needs to get going, right?
Devin? Yeah, he's nodding his head yes. So
okay, all right.
we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, let's wrap it. We're done.
You're done.